Does it say we're not scheduled to start until the 11th? Hello! Welcome to tonight's reading wrap-up. We're going to be wrapping up our reading for 2022.
Why did it say we're not scheduled to go until the 11th?
Scheduled
We
for the
originally
wrong
moved
day.
this one.
Huh.
We have no viewers currently, which is not a good sign. Particularly on the other one.
Yikes, yikes.
Because this one was originally.
I thought we moved
Switched
it last week.
But did we switch the schedule on YouTube? Is the question.
I think it auto adjusts from StreamYard. Yeah.
Cool Gamers here.
Hey, cool gamer!
Hey,
I'm
hi.
so glad you're
You'll
here.
find us.
Yeah.
Maybe just no one wanted to wrap up their reading. It's very
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Well, Cool Gamers here. Don't say no one.
Very true.
Only one person wanted to wrap up their reading this week. And Griswold made it. See,
There
the
we
gang's
go.
all here.
Oh yeah, there are people waiting in the other chats.
Dang, something
Oops.
must have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Our
This is where we are.
apologies.
Say hi to the people. No. You want to say hi to these people?
Yes. What's up, dude? What did you read this year? Nice.
Read a lot of 10 Little Ladybugs. That's our favorite.
And some slashers.
Love some Stephen King. Okay. Let me go back to Dad.
Hi, if you're joining us late, welcome. Apologies. Something has gone wrong with our scheduling. This is supposed to be this week's chat. But we'll take a look at that.
Pop
I see.
into Discord and see if I can.
I think this is not my computer, so I'm just going to slide over and look at something. Oh, she's back. I'm going to get out of here soon.
You're good.
I was going to pop into the other chat and just, I don't have a link to this or anything. It'll just be find us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says the goal setting was scheduled for today. I'm just going to change that really quick. Next week.
Now that everyone is confused, we will update.
And then edit this one for tonight. And then we can just, lie. Oh, I can't change this one. I guess we
'Cause we're
can't
already
gaslight
live.
anyone. Well, I tried.
So we had people in goal setting and paint night.
Oh, paint night's not supposed to be there anymore. We had to cancel paint night because Kelly's not going to be here. And she was going to lead us.
It was originally going to be tonight.
Oh.
That's why they're in that one.
Oh, it's all coming
But
together.
then I was like, I couldn't do that from somebody else's house. And also, that sounds like a lot to organize. Well, in a different country. So,
Yeah.
Books.
Thank you, Nicole, for letting people know where we are.
I very much appreciate it.
Here we are.
So what we are talking about tonight is wrapping up our reading for 2022.
Yes. Yes. So I don't even know where to start. I guess just kind of like an idea of how much did you read this year? We can talk about that. Just kind of like what we were reading this year. I think I'm at 46 books so far.
What's your yearly goal?
My goal was 65. So
not
I
gonna
have
get there.
a lot to read in the next 3 weeks if I'm going to make that.
I'm at 63. My goal was 100. At the beginning of the year, I was like ahead of schedule. It was going
Mhm.
really well. It was like audiobooks every day. Fell apart by like March. But I still had a solid reading year.
Yeah. I did, I've read 57. My goal's 60. So I think we're going to make it. I got to start reading a little faster. I don't know why I thought it would be good to start Priory of the Orange Tree last year.
I am at 93 and my goal is 100. I think I will make it. I mean, I'm close enough that I gotta. I feel like I'm a little like Kelly, where I started out the year like just cruising, and then like actually have hit a major reading slump. And the only reason I'm on track is because I have been reading a lot of comic books, and I don't count individual issues towards my goal, but like they have like the collected editions that are like usually like 150 pages. I'm like, that's a book. So
Yeah.
that's what like a solid like 20 or 30 of my books are, those is various comic book collected editions. So shout out to Marvel and DC for saving me from my reading slump this year.
I have had the fun experience that this year is the first year that my child has started reading books that take more than one day to read. So I got to include 2 books. I figured if they were 100 pages or more, I would include them towards mine. I got 2 of those. One was a Jojo Siwa biography, but the other one was Little Witch Hazel, and it was super cute.
Cute one.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
In Griswold is currently winning. Has
Yes.
read 138 books this year.
Very
Goal was
nice.
only 110. So look at you. Emmy's at 51 and goal is 52. So only
Oh,
one book left to read. That's a
nice.
nice place to be.
Yeah.
Um,
That's when you start reading prior.
Yeah.
You start reading Priory on January 1st.
Yeah. Debbie's goal was 52 as well, and is at 79.
Very
Oh, way
nice.
to go, Debbie.
Yeah.
52 sounds like a really solid
Yeah.
goal.
It's a book a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I think my goal for next year is gonna be like 10, 12. We'll do 12, like one a month,
I love
because
that.
the reading slump is
Mhm.
not going anywhere. It doesn't look like. So I think I've currently got on my Goodreads to read list, which I always keep pretty short. I always keep around 20 or 30 books. Right now I have 8 books on my want to read list. And I think only 5 of them are currently out. So we're going to keep our goals modest for 2023.
Love that.
All right. So, any standout favorites? So I've got my Goodreads ready to
Yeah.
go. What did we
Yes.
enjoy this
Oh
year?
gosh.
I
My
think
Goodreads is being so slow right now.
Yeah.
They heard we were having a big event,
Yeah.
big last minute event. One that really stood out to me was What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I thought that one was quite good. It creeped me out in one scene in particular, which it does take quite a lot to do to really just ugh. So that one definitely stood out.
standout series for me was the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin.
Mm.
Very, very good. And it wasn't like we've been over this before, but the description does not do it credit. Like it is very, very good. All of the awards that it's won does it credit. So that's probably
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot too. I also really liked Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Celine Tan. Enjoyed that a lot. And recently I finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I really enjoyed.
Wait, hang on. I'm going to start writing these down.
Yes. Oh, yes, please.
So I said, What Moves the Dead? Kelly said,
The fifth season.
season. Gonna get started early so that we can get this in the discussion or in
Yeah.
the description box and not realize it partway through. And then you said,
Daughter of the Moon Goddess
Okay.
and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
I put a hold on that one after I saw you enjoyed it. I really like the premise.
Especially if you like play video games. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is really good. Except it's one of those sorts of books where like now I want to play all of the video games they talked about in it, but they don't exist. Except for like the Oregon Trail. They mentioned that one.
Well,
but the ones the characters make don't exist.
How was your reading year, Rachel?
I think it was pretty good. I feel like I read a wider variety of things than I usually did. Like I branched out a lot into romance books. It's kind of like the big thing this year. And I branched out into some like heavier sci-fi fantasies. So overall, I think it's pretty good. I think I still have like 4 or 5 books before I reach my Goodreads goal. So I'm gonna just get in there before the end of the year.
Also, is this the first year that you like fully Goodreads?
No, it's like the 3rd year, I think. 2nd or 3rd. I know. Originally, Kelly bullied me into getting on Goodreads.
But now, like, I haven't looked at what she's read in a while. If I bullied her into doing it, I need to take advantage. I feel like every year, the last few years, like, is it still there?
Yeah, you should.
Oh, one more of us has like converted to romance reading. Like, not that long ago, it wasn't a huge thing with the word nerds, and every year someone else was like, "Yeah, I'll give this a go."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I always thought that I just like romantic subplots, but then I saw a lot. Honestly, it's because a lot of people on TikTok were having so much fun with romance books that I was like, I feel like I'm missing out on something. I got to figure out what's going on here,
Were.
and I was. Yeah.
I've liked YA romance for a while. I'm kind of trying to mix in a little more adult romance. It's a little hit or miss for me.
So, anyone who has their Goodreads open, what is the most like unexpected or like not your usual book that you read this year?
Ooh.
Dream Crazy Big, the JoJo Siwa story.
You know, mine was probably "I'm Glad My Mom Died" by Jeanette McCurdy.
I
Because
was actually going to say that might be mine too.
yeah, because like
Ooh,
I'm just not a memoir person. Like I've always thought it was just boring. But then yeah, because that one was getting so much hype, and some people that I know were like, you should like, you and your experiences, you should read this book. And so I did. I was like, wow, this is so good. I don't know if I'm gonna go out there and like read a bunch more memoirs, but I definitely don't regret stepping out of my comfort zone to read that one.
I read a book called Gathering Moss, A Natural and Cultural History of Mosses, and it made me cry about moss. I would recommend it. It was extremely good.
Really?
Yes.
That is, I don't think anyone else is going to be able to come up with anything quite as dramatic as that. I think mine has got to be "Normal People" by Sally Rooney. I just like had like a skip the line thing at the library, and I was like, yeah, sure. It is very literary, not a lot of plot. It was good. I really liked the writing style. I didn't enjoy the story, I think.
Mine is also kind of a literary book, probably The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. It's a little more literary and a little more sad than what I would normally read, but it was really good. And the like real place that it's based on is like where my family is from. So it's like near where my family is from. So it was really interesting.
I read this year. This is a hard one for me because I actually do read across quite a few genres and actually read quite a bit of nonfiction. Not as much memoir, but some. But I don't read a lot of adult genre fiction. But I did read Plain Bad Heroines this year. That I don't know that it was like my favorite book this year, but I did solidly enjoy it, and it is a little outside of what I normally read.
Catch up on all these comments. Mage Prometheus used to read 2 or 3 books a week, but it started dropping down since they started world building. That makes sense. I think like when I'm like deep into the drafting of a book, especially, like it's harder to read those types of books. I think that's part of why I started to like branch out more genre wise. Because like when I was like writing like a fantasy, it was easier to like read like a romance or something that was like, completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa just read Gideon.
Ooh.
Nice. Emmy was going to save Priory for January. Maybe she'll move it up.
I think, Emmy, if I may, you should read like a nice, easy book to like hit your goal and then start Priory and get like a jump on it. And if you still have some December left after you hit your goal.
Very wise.
Because the problem with doing it in January is it's like, well, then if it takes you long, then you're already behind and it's January. I don't know.
Ingrid's comment took me a second. She said, I enjoyed that one too, Megan. I like that she was inspired by Mexican Gothic. And I thought you were talking about the Moss book for a second. And then realized it was probably the T. Kingfisher book.
Yes.
I had no idea that JoJo C was so inspired by Mexican
Yeah.
Mage Prometheus wants to catch up on reading Brandon Sanderson's books. Depending on how behind you are, that could be a lot of
That could
catching
take
up.
a long time, yeah.
Very prolific. Ingersoll said Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young was pretty good.
Oh, that's on my list.
Yeah, want to read it. I didn't love her YA books. They were good, but I didn't love them. But I kind of want to try out her adult. Let's see. And Ingersoll's most unexpected read was Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. It's a productivity book. That sounds like a Kelly thing. And I gave it 5 stars. Read the blurb. It's a bit much to explain in the chat.
The last book I started was actually Laziness Does Not Exist, and it's like an anti-productivity book. At the beginning, it's just like, nope, you're burnt out, you're not lazy, you don't need to do more stuff.
Does anyone have any nonfiction I know we've had a couple mentioned, but I love nonfiction, and nonfiction has somewhat survived the reading slump. So
Yeah.
I think I'm glad my mom died. I think that might be the only nonfiction I read. I'm double checking, but
I read Word Slut, A Feminist Guide to Taking Back the English Language.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think so I have also started this year listening to a lot of podcasts, and there's a couple of podcasts I listen to that are specifically about nonfiction books. So I'm just listening to people discuss nonfiction books. So now I'm like, okay, now I think I either A, want to read those books, or B, I'm going to trick my brain by using nonfiction audiobooks. And then that way I'm like, I'm listening to somebody tell me about science, but I'm not actually like...
The podcasts are a good way to go.
in front of me.
Yeah. I read a decent amount of nonfiction. I really enjoy it. I love a celebrity memoir as well. But I think one of my standout nonfictions for the year was Big Friendship, How We Keep Each Other Close by Aminata So. It was just kind of all about, how to keep a very intimate platonic relationship strong across distances. I thought it was really, really well written, and it was told about from the framework of a big friendship between these two women. So it was really good.
Oh, and Griswold says they read Cultish by Amanda Montell. That's one of the podcasts that I was listening to, and I was like, I know that they have a book, but I haven't read the book, but I've listened to the podcast, and it's fascinating.
I read that one last year. It was so good.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Maybe I'll read the actual book.
Mine's on a different thing.
Mine is too.
One of my nonfiction that I actually also found because of a podcast is Aubrey Gordon's What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat.
I love Aubrey Gordon.
You listen to Maintenance Phase?
Sorry, what?
You listen to Maintenance Phase?
I love Maintenance Phase.
I love Maintenance Phase. It's actually the only podcast I listen to because I'm not much of a podcast person. So I listen to that one, and I listen to You're Wrong About the other one with Michael Hobbs. So it's like, really, I think I just like Michael Hobbs talking to people.
Michael Hobbs is a gem.
Yeah.
He started
I love
a new
Aubrey
podcast.
My sister was telling me about that.
Yeah, If Books Could Kill. It's really funny. So yes. Oh my gosh. See, this is the thing where I started listening to Maintenance Phase, and then I found out that both of them are authors. And so now I'm like, oh, I need to go and pick up Aubrey Gordon's book. So I'll probably go and do that. Because I know she just had a new one come out a little while ago.
A new one come out. This one I listened to because it was available through my library. The other one isn't yet, but it was really good. If you listen to Maintenance Phase, it's a lot of very similar content, but just debunking a lot of myths and talking about anti-fat bias and love it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'll definitely pick that one up. Also, Megan, could you please reiterate what the title was of the friendship book?
Yes, it was called Big Friendship, How We Keep Each Other Close.
Thank you.
No problem. And I'm not just texting people. If anyone has joined late, I'm writing down all of the titles that get mentioned in this chat, and then at the end we'll put it in the description as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
But we are happy to repeat titles.
With Big Friendship, my brain goes to Big Magic, which was kind of a disappointing nonfiction for
that
me.
one was just fine.
Should I just put my friendship thoughts out into the universe and someone else will pick them up eventually?
I mean, that's just making friends as an adult, right?
Yeah.
You see somebody cool looking across the street and you're like, friendship. Yes, friendship.
Make eye contact a couple times a week, and then I'm gonna tell my mom that that's my friend who I meet at the park.
Yeah, exactly.
Emma, what were you gonna say before I start talking about maintenance phase?
Oh yeah, it like literally it wasn't even about nonfiction. So I'm glad you went first. No, I was just gonna read Emmy's update that their 52nd book is going to be The Wolf and the Woodsman.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I also read this year. It was good, but like not what I expected. I expected more creepy forest, and most of it did not take place in a creepy forest.
Yeah.
Most of it took place in like a city.
Yeah, Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed as well was one of my favorite books of this year. So that has creepy house.
Ooh, okay.
Yes,
Do love a
and
creepy
creepy
house.
garden, but not creepy forest.
Speaking of creepy house, I read Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey this year.
Me
Creepy
too.
house.
Like 2 books ago book.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it had a lot of the tropes I like when there's a creepy house.
Didn't find it over-explained.
That's my one review that I left is that I felt the ending was a little over explained. But other than that, I quite enjoyed it.
And I mean, it could have been explained more. So you get like,
Yeah. It was just, there's a moment in the end that's like a sit down with, your traumas. And it felt a little on the nose. But I still really liked it. And the cover is amazing.
one series I've been enjoying this year. I read 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Sean McGuire's Wayward Children books.
Mhm.
I'm really liking those. Those are like kids who go to Narnia, etc., come back and have to deal with, nope, I would rather be in the fantasy place, even though it's terrible. The real world is really terrible. But they've been really good. Like most of those are winners for me.
Is that the Over the Woodward Wall?
No, I think that's like a children's book written in the universe.
A middle game, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. What is the first one of that series then?
I will find out.
Is it the one with the funky doors on the cover?
Yeah. It's every
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, portal door things.
I read
Yes.
the first 3 in that series, I believe.
I enjoyed it more after that.
Really?
Yeah, because I only read the first one and I didn't go any further.
Like there's a couple that are just person goes to fantasy world, that story.
Mm.
And those have been fun. And then you started like revisiting characters more instead of just like
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, like I've read a couple of sequels this year, but I haven't read a full series. Although I guess like the closest was that I read this in November. I read both the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox back to back.
Oh,
And that was like the most series that I've read.
Yeah. The 5th season series was the only complete series I read.
I did not read a complete series.
It's not complete. There's like 7 of them.
I just looked, and the only that were like even in the same series that I read this year was I read the first and second Once Upon a Broken Heart books.
Mm.
And that series isn't like finished yet, but I did read the ones that are out this year and loved them. I really liked those books.
Nice.
Yeah, see, that's another thing where I didn't really like Caraval very much, but everyone that I know that likes Stephanie Garber is like, no, like the Never After, like Once Upon a Broken Heart series is like so much better. Like you got to get into that one. So,
I really liked that one, yeah.
I liked Caraval quite a bit, I think. I like both of them. I don't know. I'm trying to think like what the maybe differences are. But
I read Riley Sager's like entire bibliography in like end of last year and start of this year, and that was a mistake. Don't read those all back to back because you'll start to see a very striking pattern about who the killer is every single time.
I was like looking back just through my Goodreads, and like I read like a very wide variety of stuff. Like
Yeah, me
you
too
know,
this year.
like I read like contemporary, like upmarket fiction, I guess, and like I read sci-fi, I read fantasy, I read romances, one memoir, and like some older books, some newer books.
Yeah.
a little bit of YA, not much YA, mostly adult. But yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
definitely a mix. Like when I compare it to what I was reading like 5 years ago or something, you know, a lot more different things.
You know what was one that was kind of out of like, it was a romance, but it wasn't the kind of romance I typically read, was You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty.
Oh, I want to read that.
It was messy. It was great. It's this like grieving young widow meets this like seemingly perfect guy, goes back to his hometown to meet his dad, and then immediately falls in love with his dad.
Mm.
It was awesome.
Read their like middle grade book, Kweke Emeze's middle grade book, and it was really good. Not any adult novels.
It was fun. I liked it all. And it was sweet as well.
Did anyone read any books about writing?
Absolutely not.
I actually did.
Oh, so you're bragging.
How'd that coming though? I read The Science of Storytelling by Will Storr, and like it was kind of psychology heavy of like why stories work in our brains.
Oh.
And like he focused a decent chunk on like it wasn't books specifically, which is probably why I managed to read it.
I think
But
I've read part of that.
I really enjoyed it. Like he drew a lot of samples from TV, I think, and just like why different like archetypes work, and just like the science of storytelling, and it was really neat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I finally read Romancing the Beat. That was my writing book this year.
Thank you. I love Romancing the Beat. It's very clear, it's very helpful, and it's very short. It
Yeah.
doesn't waste your time with anything.
Yeah, I think I like that it was like bigger picture how storytelling works, not any pressure to write a book.
Rachel, how did you feel about the Atlas Paradox versus the Atlas 6?
Ooh. I mean, I gave both of them 5 stars. So like I did really like both of them. I think overall I liked the Atlas 6 more because the Atlas Paradox like goes on a weird bender plot wise that I did not hate, but it was just like for half the book I'm like, where's she going with this? Like where, when, what's happening? But I think I like the ending of the Atlas Paradox more. So yeah, I'm excited for the third one. I yelled a lot while reading both of them, so who knows what's gonna happen when the third one finally comes out.
Mage Prometheus says their secret forbidden pleasure is the Dresden Files. It's
heard
it's
good
popular.
things.
It's been around for a long time for a reason. Never read them.
Yeah, it's one of my good friends is reading that right now, and he'll just send me screen grabs of like ridiculous phrases or like weird happenings. He's like, "Oh, this is like so 2007 or whatever," and then like sends me a screenshot. It's very fun.
I'm curious what books everyone is still in progress on. Because I've got like 3, I think.
I'm like a couple chapters into Babel, and I'm trying. This is like my goal is to finish Babel by the end of the year. That's like I need to have read it this year, you know, just like for personal reasons. And so everyone on TikTok will stop yelling at me. That's the only one I have on the go right now.
Yeah. I, as always, am in the middle of a George R. R. Martin book. I've got one just on the side. I'm on A Clash of Kings right now. I'm also part of the way through Fellowship of the Ring because I decided to reread those. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the title. It's Rebecca Roanhorse's.
The Fevered Star.
It's the apocalyptic one. Has lightning in the title.
Lightning
something.
Picturing the cover, yeah, lightning something. I can't think of it, but anyway.
It's coming to my head as the Lightning Thief.
Yeah, I know, right? That's all I can think of.
I know the one you're talking about, though.
Yeah, I can picture the cover.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but yeah, in the middle of that one.
The Lightning Thief.
How do you like that one? I've been kind of debating picking it up.
It's good. I feel like I can't like too fairly. Oh, Trail of Lightning.
Trail of Lightning. Yeah.
Like for me, like it's slow going for me, and I'm not like loving it because it's not a genre I would normally read. But I like Rebecca Roanhorse's writing so much that I was like, I'll give it a try. So I think it's really good. I'm just not a big like post-apocalyptic person. So
Yeah. Yeah. How does everyone feel that like dystopians are coming back?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Probably read a couple.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be interested to see like what this round of dystopia looks like.
What's the vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a couple that I've seen, not a ton, but like there's definitely enough that I'm like, oh, is this going to be a thing now?
Oh, I've heard
And-
that from like insider people. Like it's kind of coming back.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm into it, but at the same time, I'm like, I'll have a look. You know,
I
we'll
would read
see.
one if it was like the buzzy book everyone was talking about. Then I'd read it. But otherwise, I don't think I
Unless
would.
it's Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, then I'm not gonna read it.
Yeah. But yeah.
I feel like I could do like one or two just for like nostalgia, just to like have it in the mix of like this, like that's what I read in 2012.
I needed not
Yeah.
to feel like those ones, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Like even just seeing the copies of Divergent at your house, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
a thing.
those. Yeah. I tried to donate those, and Jared got really mad at me. He was like, I read those. Those are my books.
To answer Emma's question, when she asked that, I realized that I earlier this year started what did I start? A very long Russian book, War and Peace. That's not getting finished in 2022.
okay.
And I sometimes like a little Tolstoy, but it wasn't happening this year. I am in the middle of the audiobook right now for Cake Eater. It's like a futuristic Marie Antoinette retelling. I like it so far, like kind of more than I expected to. I think I picked it up because I heard it, and I'm not even actually sure if this is true. I think there's like some ace representation in there that I was interested in, but I'm actually enjoying it more than I anticipated. So
I saw the cover for that one and I was like, what is that? But then I was also kind of like, I don't know if it's my jam.
They really
but
did her
so-
dirty on the cover. It's like there were so many cool directions you could have gone with the cover for like this book, and it just is like this is like a Pantone monstrosity.
Okay, well, I like it, so they hit
I'm
their target
so
demographic.
sorry. I misread
No,
the direction we were going with that conversation. I don't love the cover.
No,
But
it's okay.
I thought it
Now.
looked fun. I thought we were just having a good time.
I'm gonna be quiet.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, the reason that I was like,
It's
what the heck is that?
eye-catching,
It's
right?
because it's so bright and like
It
different
is.
looking that I was like, okay, it's caught my eye. But like, I could see how, again, not having read it, like if it was like darker, you know, making it less like pop art,
I
right?
like the colors actually. I don't know. Like I think it's like just the combination of the colors and the art style that like
Hmm.
makes it look a little like kitschy to me. I don't know. I can't like quite because I actually do really like the bright pastels and like
You don't have to
little bit.
backtrack, Kara. It's okay. If you don't like the cover, don't worry about it.
Ooh, okay. Who else? Who's next?
I'm on side love it. I just looked it up. I haven't seen it before.
I
Thanks,
am.
Emma.
Like I mentioned, I started reading Priory about a month ago. I'm like 200 pages in. I'm trying to train myself. I might have said this in one of our live chats. I'm trying to train myself to be able to like read a large physical copy of a book because I feel like I have kind of trained my brain specifically not to do that over the last few years with listening to a lot of audiobooks very quickly. So I'm partway through that and kind of just letting myself take my time with it. And then I'm listening to the Lord of the Rings audiobooks. So I'm like 30% into Two Towers. Because if Emma's into something, I'm into something, obviously.
Back in our Lord of the Rings era.
Yeah. Thanks, Rings of Power.
Yeah. The other one I've started is that Laziness Does Not Exist. And I think because I've got a few Audible credits lined up, I'm gonna like pause Scribd in the new year, like save a little money for a couple months. So I'm gonna like whatever is the
Smart.
top of my TBR on Scrubbed for the rest of December.
I paused my script because I had a bunch of library holds come in.
Yeah.
I was like, it's gonna be a while before
Yeah, I've
I
got
get
some
to
coming
this.
up, so it's
Yeah.
gotta strategize.
I'm also like 70% of the way through Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour, listening to the audiobook of that one. So
I liked that one.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So never read a Nina LaCour book that disappointed. So
That one, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be, but I
Yeah.
enjoyed what it was.
So when we like started doing Word Nerds, like read so much YA fantasy and dystopian, but like that's a genre that like was my go-to originally, and it's not been something I've read a ton of in recent years. But as I was looking through my Goodreads, like I'm actually surprised. Like I didn't feel like I read that much this year, but I read a decent amount, and like some that I really liked. So I loved Violet Made of Thorns. I loved Strike the Zither. I loved Twin Crowns.
Go slower, Megan's got to tighten.
How you doing, Megan?
Awesome authors.
Authors? You want authors?
I want them.
So Violet Made of Thorns is Gina Chen. Strike the Zither is Joan He.
That one's on my TBR, probably in
Yeah.
December. So cool looking.
Twin Crowns, which has a cover that I love also, is Catherine with a C, Doyle, and Catherine with a K, Weber. I really liked Only a Monster by Vanessa Len.
I've been debating picking that one up. So I
enjoyed it. Like it was a little different. And I thought it was like, yeah, a fun read and compelling. The premise is like a little, like it wasn't a premise that I felt like I'd encountered before, which is not super common in YA fantasy for me. So and I loved A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft.
Oh, I did really
have to
enjoy
get
that
on
one.
that.
The audiobook was amazing.
I checked
so-
out I tried to get the audiobook and it like came in at the same time as like too many other holds, so I didn't end up getting it to it, but I want to also listen to the audiobook because like I liked that one enough to do it again. And I liked A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Eileen.
Mm-hmm.
So I've still been using Goodreads, but did not realize we were like there's 6 hours left in voting for the final round of the Goodreads Choice
Oh, yeah.
Awards.
Yes.
People are very bleak about the Goodreads Choice Awards this year because it's just like, it's going to be the same authors it always
Yeah.
is. You know?
Yeah.
Or less excited about them.
I also feel like the Goodreads Choice Awards this year, I feel like I haven't heard of like half the books that are on there. And like as somebody who is
all the same authors, so
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's either like the big like white female authors who write romance fantasy, and then it's like a bunch of just books I've never heard of before. And like as somebody who like is pretty like entrenched in the book community and works in publishing, like I feel like I should know most of these, and I just don't. I'm like, who are all of you people?
I haven't even looked at the finalists.
I knew a decent number in the genres that I read, but I tend to like hyperfixate on a genre. So
voting for T. Kingfisher.
I feel like I've like read enough variety this year that I've read like one book in each category.
And I like this one. I'll vote for that.
ooh, you know what is the book that got away that I really want to read next year is Our Wives Under the Sea. I heard that one's amazing.
I've heard that one is wild. As our resident horror enthusiast, definitely you should read it and then tell us about it.
Yeah. By Julia Armfield, if anyone wants that. out there.
Giving
Missy
you
Kate also
the-
would like to remind Megan that Well Traveled is coming out soon.
Yes.
I've been waiting for that forever.
Forever.
Delilah Green doesn't care. I think was my favorite.
Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail just came out.
I had
It
a
was
while
so
ago.
good. I speed read Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and it was really, really good. But now the third one, Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, doesn't come out until next November, and I think that that's rude.
Oh, I got so excited that they've done like 2 in 1 year. I'm like, oh, this is the pace I need for romance series. Oh man.
Yeah, I am put out. I want it so bad.
I've read nothing in sci-fi. That doesn't sound like me.
I feel like I read.
Oh no, I did read one.
I definitely read a sci-fi.
I read How High We Go in the Dark. It was good. I still feel compelled to vote for Nona instead.
Do it.
Oh, A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, the second in the Monk and Robot
Yeah,
series.
that was very good too.
It was very charming.
I feel like the last few days, I've just, for some reason, I've just found myself in a variety of bookstores in the last couple of days, not on purpose. And every time I go in there, I look at Song for the Wild Built and I pick it up and I go, I want to buy this. And then it's like 30 Canadian dollars. And I'm like, I can't do this right now.
Those
Like,
are
it's
little
vanilla,
ones.
so
They're
small,
very
it's so
short.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems. Ooh.
Yeah, so maybe if it comes out in softcover, I will buy it then.
Once upon a time.
Yes, we've got a comment from N. Griswold about the honeys, and I did read that this year. The audiobook uses sound effects, which was very.
Oh,
And sometimes it worked better than others, but when it worked, it was very cool.
that's really neat.
Is this one of the people you used to be into in that era of your life?
It is not, but I would like to read that.
All the living and the dead, from embalmers to executioners, an exploration of the people who have made death their life's work.
I'm like so disconnected these days from like YA. Like I didn't even realize that Adam Silvera made like a
Oh, yeah, a
sequel, a prequel, a prequel.
It's the
Mhm.
first to die at the end.
I had no idea that was a thing.
I
that
heard
came
it's quite good, but it looked really long.
I will say, like, I still predominantly read YA, and I'm like looking at like the best young adult fiction, so not the sci-fi young adult, but I of this list have read Loveless. That's it. That's the only one, which is
Wow.
weird to me.
I really
Um,
love the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School, and that's on some of the lists. I know.
Yeah, that one's on the Goodreads. I
Yes.
haven't read that one. And like I said, like I read a lot of YA books this year, and apparently just not these ones. I don't know. Maybe I'm just having the same thing as Rachel, because I also am looking at
I heard about that.
the best YA fantasy and sci-fi for the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I've read only 2 of them. I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea and The Ballad of Never After.
Mm.
And I've heard of most of these,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I do feel like there's a pretty big difference between like books that like the circles we run in are talking about and books that are being read by the general public right now, which I think is probably contributing to that a
Sometimes I
lot.
honestly feel like Goodreads like isn't either of those. Like sometimes Goodreads is just like its own thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the book talk books. It's not necessarily the whatever circle we are books.
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah,
like the
I'm
winners are
wondering
the book talk books, but
Yeah, I'm wondering where Goodreads gets its data from. Because so I'm like, is it from Amazon sales? Is it from just like whatever they pick? Like I don't know.
I feel like
Yeah.
because they weren't always Amazon, it was probably just what people add.
Reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
If anyone
maybe.
knows,
Yeah.
let us know.
And
like
Griswold asks us to talk about our most disappointing books so that she can kick it off her TBR
Okay.
list.
I can do that.
I
Like,
gotta
I
think about
have one
this
right off the bat.
I have one. I'll go first. I really like a lot of Paul Tremblay's books, and I really hated The Pallbearers Club. I understand that the narrative structure was supposed to be like Interview with the Vampire, and I didn't think it worked. But I really love Paul Tremblay. Paul Tremblay, I know you're a fan of this show, so don't think I don't love your work. And I'm really excited for that movie. So
Okay. One of the worst books that I read this year was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. And look, I have a new appreciation for romance novels. I liked The Love Hypothesis enough to give this one a shot, but the main character from Love on the Brain is the most insufferable character that I have ever read. She's such a quirky girl, and like it's horrible to read. So no.
So I feel like the one I'm picking, I picked up because Rachel loved it. Last night at the Telegraph Club,
You didn't like this?
Bye.
What?
I was bored.
You're
I
just
was
like
very-
dumping on the things Rachel likes tonight.
A lot of people like that one. It was very slow
Mm. Mhm.
and historical at the same time. And so it was a lot, but also not very much.
There were a few books that I like didn't love. I think the one that was probably most disappointing to me was The Makeup Test by Jenny L. Howe, because I was like really excited for like the idea of that, because it was like two rivals in grad school. But there were some issues with like the writing and the story itself. She like made an intentional choice to set it like 5 years post COVID, and I don't think it worked well. But just like some other things, also just like the romance itself. By the end of the book, I was like, I don't know that I actually root for these people to get together. So
That's a book
yeah.
I was also excited.
I don't feel like I have anything on my list that I like had really high hopes for and hated. I had a lot of things that like just kind of hit meh, which might just largely be that I'm in a big reading slump and have been for like 6 months. I will say, so this is like part of the longer story of me trying to like get more into adult romance and not necessarily loving the structure. I liked the X-Hex, but it was for me like, I don't know. I think a lot of, okay, we're getting the short version of the rant, I guess. I think a lot of like romance books, and I feel like I noticed this even more in like adult, I feel like a lot of times like have a really fun first half of the book, and then like the second half is just like the tension isn't believable anymore. And that one for me like really felt that way in the X-Hex. And also like it for me was one where I'm like, I can tell you are very horny for each other, but I don't necessarily know like why you're good together beyond like that. Like, what about your personalities do you like about each other?
DNF that one, which was disappointing. I was hoping it was like a wrong place, wrong time.
I didn't hate it, but like I wanted to really like it.
I don't know, from how strongly you disliked that cover before to how you backtrack, I believe you really hated it.
I was like, okay.
I would read it in Griswold's column.
Yeah, go for it.
For Anne Griswold, it was Book of Night by Holly Black, which was her first Holly Black book. And the last 15% was interesting, but
That's how I felt about the Founders Club.
Okay, look. I really like that book, and I really like that book. I know it's a very split, like a lot of people love it or hate it. I would say if you still want to like Holly Black, try The Cruel Prince, but also try Tithe, which is her like very first YA book series. I find that one is like one of my favorites. So just
Rachel,
you know,
we love you
if
very
you-
much, and your opinions on books have been way more successful than ours. So
I don't know. Apparently tonight is like opinionated power hour, but you know, that's fine. Everyone has their own opinions. That's what makes the world go round.
Jumping back to books we like, there's one book that I keep being like, you gotta bring this one up because you really liked it before we run out of time. I read My Sister the Serial Killer by Ayn Khan Braithwaite, and it was so weird and so like freaky. So it's exactly what the title would make you think it is, told from the POV of a woman whose sister she suspects is a serial killer. She starts, dating a new guy, and it's kind of like, oh, is she gonna help her sister still be a serial killer? And it was super weird and super good, and kind of dived into like the murky ethics of like, how far do you go for the people who you like would die for, It was really, really good. And it was a short, gruesome horror. It was great.
So I'm going to go ahead and guess that the sister was a serial killer.
Oh, she was.
One thing I love like every year is because like there's the disappointing books. Like there's the books that like people hyped up to you, or you like hyped up for yourself, and then you like read it and it like isn't as good as you thought it was going to be. But I always love seeing like the books that like were just not on my radar, and I just like happened to pick up for whatever reason. Like maybe it was like one of the only available audiobooks at my library or something, you
It's
know?
like all my books this year,
Yeah,
honestly.
I love those books where it's like nobody's hyped it up for me. I haven't hyped it up for myself, and then I end up enjoying it. 'Cause I think for me this year, that was oh my gosh, I've just like blanked on it now. Something about River. It's by Rebecca Ross. Oh, A River Enchanted, by Rebecca Ross. Like I had not heard anything about it. Like I still have not heard anybody talk about it. And I think I was just looking through like what my library had available, and I was like, this summary sound like I didn't read it for a while because I was like, the summary sounds good, but I haven't heard anybody talking about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it, and I really enjoyed
Very
it.
old school way to read a book.
Yeah, and I really liked it, and that's always like fun and kind of refreshing.
Similar, I was thinking of like we've talked about a lot recently how we used to collectively read a lot of the same books, and like the book community had more like picks. It's cool being here and the wrap up and like hearing someone enjoy a book I'd never heard of and be like, oh, that's interesting. But if I pick it up, I've only heard one person hype it, so I won't have like overbuilt it in my head.
You'll just be disappointing me. If you
Exactly. And I'll be sure to tell you live on the internet.
Yes.
You'll feel better.
I feel like reading that way has like helped me be less disappointed about reading too. Because yeah, kind of like Kyra said, like I didn't have a lot of big disappointments this year. Like I had a few books that I was just kind of like meh about it, but most stuff like wasn't super hyped up, and so
Yeah. Oh, I definitely had lots of books that were very meh for me. And again, like reading slump.
plenty of stuff, but less like this was supposed to be amazing, and I didn't really like it.
Everybody loves this. That's
Yeah.
why. Is it Babel or Babel? Which way are we going?
Babel, I think.
Babel.
Label.
That's the first one I'd like really seen a lot of hype for very quickly, and I hadn't heard about it before that. Just suddenly everyone was talking about it, and it felt strange because it's been a while since there'd been something like that, and it may have just been like a trick of my TikTok or whatever. But
Well,
I'm reading
as
it
someone who's like
now.
5 chapters in, it's very good, but it's also like a like heavy book. So going slowly.
how are we doing on time? So we only got a few minutes left. I was going to ask you about like books for next year kind of thing, but we kind of covered that at the beginning
That's
of the new
a
year.
whole other chat, Kelly.
See, for me,
Like,
I don't know
fantasy
what's coming
books.
up next year anymore. Oh.
Like, okay, fantasy books of 2023 have me in a chokehold. I'm so excited. There's so many good ones coming out, and I'm like, I'm ready.
If you could prepare a PowerPoint presentation for our first chapter,
Please.
Oh my gosh, I will.
I
Don't
would
tempt
love
me,
that.
Kelly.
Oh, excuse me.
I think we should start doing book reports.
Wait,
all
that
take
would be
turns.
fun.
Doing
That
PowerPoints,
would be
just talking about books.
Just everyone does, a quarterly PowerPoint.
Yeah, instead of book club, we just do like quarterly.
really cool.
PowerPoint night. Wait, that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I would like
That'd be
that.
Maybe
fun.
instead of book clubs, we start just doing like we all present on what we've like one book we've read that we've liked.
Yeah.
I just saw like a TikTok last night that was this woman talking about like how she joined or she like made a local book club with some other women, and like they all read different books. Like they don't all read the same book. They all read different books, and they come together and they each like present about
Pitch that book.
one book. Yeah.
I love
So that's a
that.
great idea.
I feel like
Should do
occasionally
that.
I'd have one of like, I don't want to tell you too much about this. Just read
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see you try to make a PowerPoint
Yeah.
with
You do, like,
revealing
vibes.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like out of context.
Yeah.
Memes.
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be so fun. Okay, yes, I like that idea for next year.
We all just read your email, M. Griswold, and it's amazing.
Love it.
I love it. I'm totally gonna put it in Discord if that's okay with you. Yeah, because it's a very cool little TBR deck thingy.
Do we have anything else for today?
Does anyone have a book they read and loved this year that they haven't had a chance to talk about?
Double check.
I'm chronically online, so I feel like
Everyone knows.
I
It's
really talked a
very
lot
easy
about
to
everybody.
find out what
I really
I think-
enjoyed. Oh, what'd you say?
I was going to read one of the comments. I don't know if this is because of the question that we just posed or if this was for something earlier, but Emmy says that they read The Society of Soulless Girls, which they hadn't heard of and enjoyed it a lot more than any of the hype books that she read this year. So that's cool. Also, reminded her a lot of Witches of Ash and Ruin, which, if you don't know, is Word Nerd E. Latimer's book. Go buy her bisexual witch book, Witches of Ash and Ruin, available now.
The Grace Year by Kim Liggett was like the most YA feeling book I read this year, and like I really loved it. And it's like kind of dystopian vibes, a little kind of more post-apocalyptic society. Yeah, I guess dystopian. And it was awesome. Like it was kind of dark and creepy, feminist, really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I believe that's the author. You know, it pitched as Mexican Gothic, you know, or for fans of Mexican Gothic, it delivered. Would recommend.
I saw a couple of screenshots or paragraphs from that book, and like, what beautiful writing. I just haven't picked it up, but it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it was spectacular.
Oh, wow, glowing recommendation.
Yeah.
And Griswold also says that they love Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I know that's a heist book that I have to pick up.
I think mine was actually also going to be a heist book, which is Aces Wild.
I want to get to that one.
And I liked that one. I liked the plot. I thought there was some like good humor in it. I really, really liked the characters, but also for me, it was just like very cool to be like, this is like an all ace cast, and that's like not something I've ever experienced before. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that very much. And just on that note, like I actually got to read a lot of books this year with, like, I think this year I read more books with asexual protagonists than I had like any other year combined. So it's kind of cool to see some of those coming out.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely a goal of mine, is to read more Arrow Ace books. So I might have to pick your brain on which ones that you think are good.
I am finally getting to the point where I don't feel like I've read all of them, because for a while there were so few that it's like if it existed, I'd read it. And I think we're finally getting to the point where it's like, yeah, I might not have actually read them all now, but I have read quite a few of them, so I can definitely give you some recs.
Cool.
I added bullet points and I didn't want them there, but it wasn't letting me remove them.
Well, we are at just under an hour, and we've talked about all the books we loved and the books that disappointed us. Yeah. Does anyone have anything they're really excited for next year? I know nothing about what's coming out in 2023, so.
Well, if you'll just see my PowerPoint up here.
You have to like pick one off the top of your head. It's like a preview of the PowerPoint that's going to come next month.
Oh my God. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Also, Iris Kelly doesn't date.
Yeah.
Coming out in November.
Yeah.
I'm sending, we have 40 books on this list.
Oh my gosh.
I might have
Good
missed,
Lord.
so I apologize if I did, but I just put it in the live chat for Emma to put in the description once we are done here. So yeah, hopefully if you refresh just like a little bit after we're off air, you'll be able to have access to that list in case you missed anything, or, you know, if you're like me, I know I'll forget, you know, by tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here to talk about books with us. We will see you next week for goal setting.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's our last chat of the year.
Last chat of
chat.
the year. So last chance to see us in 2022.
Thanks for bearing with us while we tried to find
Yes,
the right
I
chat to get into.
know.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yes. The scheduling is correct for next week now, so it should send you to the right place. So. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Bye.
Bye.